Greetings to those in the stream of Primal Sutra. We are here and we are back, sharing from our heart spaces the truth that echoes throughout all eternity, throughout all time. This is going to be a trip for you, an audio sonic adventure. So relax, and I hope you learn a lot, and I hope you digest this transmission as it comes through the Primal Sutra Nexus group of spirit guides, as well as my own personal journey and technology. Okay. So I'm a positive psychologist. I have a master's in applied positive psychology and coaching psychology. That is my professional background. And I've always been interested in why did I follow that path, right? It was so random. Whereas everybody else followed the path of psychology, which I focused on as well during high school and um, pretty much all throughout my time, because my father's a psychiatrist, my mother's a gynecologist, she's a doctor, both are doctors, right? So I came from this understanding of the medical field, right? And now I'm slowly starting to understand why I was told to go in this line of research. Because whatever we focus on grows, we know this, but I also want to share some ancient tech with you guys that will absolutely blow your mind. This process is going to be really applicable, okay? Let me just change some settings around here. I hope I'm clear and audible. All right. Oh man, I got to sign in through the Telegram again. Let's go. Just signing in. Let's get it. Okay. Okay, cool. So back to the topic at hand, okay? Positive psychology. Why did I go towards positive psychology? Positive psychology is the science of well-being and happiness. It is looking at the brighter side. Now, I understand what this sounds like as somebody who's in the spirituality industry and is highly integrated with that. And it's going to explain my ponderings, my understandings, hopefully. Okay. I love this question because positive psychology is really misunderstood as just like feel good quotes or like just think happy thoughts, right? But the real depth of it is actually wildly eclectic. It draws from like neuroscience, philosophy, spirituality, ancient wisdom, and modern science, all kind of packed into this cosmic bundle, right? So here's what makes it really interesting to me. It's science backed, but soul friendly. Okay. So it combines hard empirical research, RCTs, meta analysis, with timeless questions from philosophy like, what is the good life? Right. I think it's important to ask questions like that. And it also merges Eastern contemplative practices like mindfulness with Western behavioral interventions. Okay. So the East meets West gets synchronized, right? Synergizes. And both of those learn to function together. Okay. Hey there, sweetheart. So peak performance meets meaning, right? There's this flow state researcher, one of the greatest of all time, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. Okay. He linked athletic performance, creativity, and spiritual experience all under one roof. He included both grit and gratitude. As much as about passion and perseverance is about presence and appreciation. So this is what I really valued about that work. Okay. And then, of course, you have Shadow Work's cousin, Martin Seligman, who's the founder of positive psychology. He had this idea of strengths over weaknesses. Sounds like pure light work, right? But positive psychology also explores things like post-traumatic growth, right? Someone who's been through trauma, they can get bitter or better, right? And sometimes people get better. And so there were studies done on post-traumatic growth, right? Meaning making through suffering, how adversity can deepen your happiness levels of flourishing in life, right? So it doesn't bypass the dark, it actually alchemizes the dark. There's a second wave of positive psychology that was all about this post-traumatic growth stuff. Okay, so we understand that. It's spiritual, but not religious. Okay, it takes from religious concepts, sure, like concepts like transcendence, awe, hope, forgiveness, compassion. These are deeply spiritual in nature, right? And so it pulls from like Aristotle's virtue ethics, Buddhist meditations and mindfulness uh, doctrines, Stoic principles around like resilience, and Christian agape love without being bound to any one system. Okay, so it's like a love affair between philosophy and ancient wisdom together, because it's heavily influenced by Aristotle, who came up with the concept eudaimonia. You guys know my tattoo, eudaimonia. Okay, good spiritedness. All right, that's his true meaning. But eudaimonia is a long-lasting happiness or flourishing. Okay, Nietzsche, will to power. Okay, Frankl, he found lots of research on meaning in life. Right, you guys know the story of Viktor Frankl, who was in the concentration camps. Right, and then he future projected and talked into a timeline, and he was giving a speech as if he had escaped the concentration camp and came out as a survivor. So he was speaking into his reality. I'm going to talk about this because this is really, really powerful. Hey, let's go. Epic, epic. Thank you, Samba. Let's get it. Confucius, like, talked about harmony and so forth, right? So the PERMA model, positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, accomplishment. It's kind of like a philosophical checklist, right? Wearing a lab coat. So it uses simple interventions, really simple stuff like gratitude journaling. We know this. This has been popularized nowadays in the mainstream media, right? Oh, yeah, gratitude, right? And so many studies on gratitude. It's basically the scientific way of saying happiness. Okay. So you got to be grateful. Okay. But you got to embody gratitude too. This is my beef with it, right? So I feel that we've got to understand how to embody feeling thankful instead of just it being heady and up in the head. Oh, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. But you're just talking out loud, right? You're not feeling and resonating with the words. And that's what I want to talk about as well. Um, Behavioral hacking with a heart, right? So best possible self exercises, savoring practices, right? It sounds cheesy, but these actually have profound neuroplastic effects for your brain. Okay. So it's going to be absolutely important to rewire your brain through deliberate practice, not just theory, right? So it's a bridge between self-help and hardcore science, right? It studies what actually works, from affirmation science to future visioning, yet remains open to subjective well-being, which I like, right? Dreams, even spiritual experiences like peak states, flow states, and mystical moments, right? These are also things studied extensively, which is fascinating, right? So it focuses on the difference between hedonic or pleasure-based happiness and eudaimonic, purpose-based well-being. Okay, two very different states of being. Okay, hedonism, as some of us know, is purely pleasure-focused and pleasure-based, right? Of a mentality and a philosophy. Eudaimonia is I'm going to build something that's long-lasting, right? You build a business, you build a family, you build something long-term. That's what creates that good life. Friends, family, okay. There was like some F's that Epictetus or Epicurus, my bad, used to explore this as well. You guys can look it up on your own time. So that's what got me primarily interested in the combination of positive psychology and ascension tech, right? Like, what is the astral tech that we can actually use, right? So all that talk about attention steering the Kundalini vehicle, that's selective attention, right? And neuroplasticity at play. So positive psychology teaches us that what we attend to grows stronger in the mind-body system. So when you're choosing to place your focus on the heart center or charge up your solar plexus, for instance, you're literally strengthening neural pathways that govern willpower, confidence, emotional regulation, right? So we talk about character strengths quite a lot in positive psychology. That's like your inner tech panel, right? So we call it virtues and strengths, okay? Virtues are the overarching. Then you have the strengths underneath those virtues, right? So the same way that the chakras represent different functions, will, love, expression, right? Character strengths are the psychological counterparts to those energy centers. You guys get this? So solar plexus, the will, courage, persistence, self-regulation. Heart chakra, love, gratitude, kindness. Throat chakra, honesty, communication, social intelligence, right? So you're mapping your virtues to your chakras to help bridge the woo with actionable psychology, right? Optimism and hope. This is the field of vibration. Okay, Snyder has a theory, I believe, on learned optimism. Okay, so your mood and belief system are just mental. They directly affect your bioelectric field. So hope, gratitude, positive emotions like high coherence states, right? Heart math studies confirm this, which literally stabilize your auric field and allow more clean charge to run through your system. So when you're locked in fear, shame, indecision, your biofield actually contracts. Okay. And when you're locked into gratitude, purpose, your field starts expanding outwards, right? It's not mystical, it's measurable too, right? So flow state is actually plasma torus activation, because if you look at flow as what Csikszentmihalyi called flow, what happens when the torus field spins smoothly? Total absorption, presence, aka flow state, deep present joy. The same bioelectric conditions that allow for Kundalini to flow are also what make you enter peak performance. This is why we call it peak performance shamanism. This is why, it's so popularized that just do a breath work, do a mantra, right? Listen to coherent brainwaves. This has become a part of our modern day culture, right? With both spiritual practice and high achievement working together as friends, okay? So aligning your nervous system to support optimal challenge skills ratio. So you need a high level challenge, high level skill, or moderate level, where the zone of the flow actually lives, right? So meaning is the integration pathway, all right? So all these mystical out of body, astral encounters, okay, abduction reports, Kundalini risings, trip reports, if they're not integrated, it can lead to a lot of fragmentation, right? So meaning making anchors your experience into the human story. It helps your process. Why did I experience this? How can this serve my mission or others? Because purpose is the conductor that harmonizes the symphony of your inner activations. So without purpose, even peak experiences become addicted escapes. Isn't that wild? So the positive psychology of energy hygiene, mindfulness is to check your energy field daily. What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I feeling? Etc. Right? You're just checking your energy field. Anything that seems off, you understand it. Okay. Next is self-compassion. Don't judge your stuck points, soften into them. Okay. Growth mindset, viewing spiritual roadblocks as growth signals, not failures. Savoring, allowing and amplifying the coherence. Coherence is when your heart and your mind work together fully in harmony. Okay. By feeling fully, feeling fully the good moments of life, the pleasurable moments of life, the blissful moments of life. Okay. So goal settings ground the cosmic downloads into actual real world action steps. right? Like SMART goals meets astral hacking type of thing, right? As I envision it. So positive psychology gives you the science of embodiment and neuro-emotional mastery, so your kundalini isn't just blasting all over the place and sending you into hyperspace like behind me, right? It's being channeled with skill, or so you don't just trip balls, right? You're transmuting. You don't just vibrate, you're integrating, okay? So you're asking for the deep lore of positive psychology. Well, you got to know something. Martin Seligman's agency magic and learned helplessness origins were rooted in trauma research. Holy shit. This is the tech that they don't share, and I'm about to share. Okay. The father of positive psychology literally started his career torturing dogs in learned helplessness experiments. Ethically horrifying in today's standards. But here's the twist. The big breakthrough for him wasn't the helplessness, it was the discovery of agency. So later, he admitted that the real gold was in the dogs who refused to give up despite shock after shock. So the unconscious resilience is hardwired into our primal biological systems, even when beaten down by entropy. Some living systems still defy death and collapse. Isn't that powerful, right? So like the samskars that we say in Hinduism, the impressions in the subtle body, but now we have this psychological reframing, right? Habit loops of agency or spiritual muscle memory, okay? So there's something called hope theory, Snyder's hidden code, okay? C.R. Snyder's hope theory wasn't just about mindset, okay? Snyder talks about pathways thinking as a kind of psychic infrastructure building. Translation, the human mind projects probability pathways like ley lines into its imagined future. So the more options you believe you have, the more energy bridges your psyche is able to create. Okay, so hopelessness leaves you in a frozen grid, very low action level. Hope creates dynamic energy highways. So this is why we don't just manifest with willpower, we shape the probability field with possibility pathways. Okay, now there was this woman who came up with this idea called the positivity ratio. Okay, and basically, she said that negative emotions are way more powerful than positive emotions. Okay. So she called this theory broaden and build. But actually, guys, it was inspired by plant biology. Okay. So Fredrickson's positive emotions, one was dogs, this one was plant biology, right? Get this, guys, right? So Fredrickson's positive emotions like joy, awe, she said it's not just about mood, it mirrors the chlorophyll process of plants. So sunlight or positive emotion increases the plant's leaf span and energy storage capacity, just like when you are really feeling positive and you know you're increasing your leaf span. What does that even mean, bro? Right? Well, it means that just like babies in the womb, when they get more love, they grow taller at times, right? So this is the real understanding that we have here, that we need the sunlight within, right? We need it. Likewise, positive emotions expand neuroplastic canopy of your brain, increasing like exploratory behavior and like really adaptive flexibility, right? So positive psychology is a weird root system. It's kind of horticultural, right? Rats that normally drowned after 15 minutes when given a 5-minute break could go on swimming for another 8 hours in similar learned helplessness experiments. Absolutely. Right? Oh, that's wild. Okay, no one talks about the VIA character strengths list as an egregore. Okay, but I'm going to. Okay, You heard it here first, Primal Sutra. So developed by Seligman and Peterson, the VIA acts as a psychological egregore once internalized, because each strength, like curiosity, okay, zest, whatever it is, starts to function as a living archetype in your psyche. And the more you name and own your strengths, like, that's my strength, man, that's my strength, you know? The more you do that, you develop an energetic autonomy, almost like spirit helpers in your inner temple, right? That's when the right guides come in. So this is why naming strengths activates them. Like, my top strength is perspective, so I use that word a lot. I'll use it in sentences. That's an interesting perspective that you had, right? But it's really charging my egregore, right? I'm not doing it in a selfish way, though. It just charges automatically because it's already my strength, right? So it's low-key and invocation rich, right? Negativity is not stronger. Positivity and negativity are the same. What I mean by stronger is that negative, so it's like 3:1 was the research, babe. So essentially, like, 3 positive thoughts are equal to 1 negative. So it's like, that's how it equalizes out in a weird way. However, I agree with you. I think positive and negative are like yin and yang, you know? I see it as that, like the electric charge, right? Boom, it's the Trinity, right? So yeah, I agree with you, babe. But this is what the science is showing us, right? Is that because when you're negative, you're in survival mode, right? And that's why we pay more attention to it as a modern culture. Though we do need positivity to thrive, right? We do need positivity, absolutely, to thrive. So magnetoreception. This is what the fuck level research, okay, guys? So no one mentions the connection to magnetoreception. There's weird data on avian species, fungi, and even like cytochromes reacting to the Earth's magnetic fields. So what if flow state is like your internal compass syncing with the geomagnetic resonance of the planet, right? Because in flow, the human equivalent of migration instinct or mycellular, network alignment, that there's like research emerging suggesting that alpha theta brainwaves are entrainable via Schumann resonance frequency, 7.83 hertz, more so 8 hertz per second, okay? So flow might actually be the Earth's rhythm running through our very nervous system. Isn't that dope? Right? This is why I love it and I live by it. And I show up as that, vibe as reality. People who see more negativity or more positivity are blind and have their own problems. That's right. Definitely people get lopsided and are not able to rest in their baseline or their neutral, right? They project onto the images of what they're reacting to. That's very true, babe. Right? Awesome. Great topic, guys. Thank you for engaging with this. This is amazing. Any other questions? Type them in the live chat. All right. So alchemical lead to gold. I believe Calhoun, what was the guy's name? Something like that. Calhoun had a post-traumatic growth study where he suggested that suffering cracks the egoic shell and it creates like roots of meaning, purpose, and spirituality. So hidden in their early writings, specifically Greek tragedy, right, and catharsis are essential components to this. So post-traumatic growth isn't just a rebound, it's like an initiatory rite, right? So pain as a philosopher's stone, breaking down ego, constructs, right, us to be able to let the philosopher's gold emerge. The lead of pain, when faced fully, becomes the gold of wisdom, right? No pain, no gain, baby. As me and my babe always say. You just say, no pain, no gain. All right, let's keep going. Upward spiral. Savoring is actually time manipulation tool, right? So Fred Bryant's research on savoring suggests when you deliberately enjoy a moment, you're not just feeling good, you're stretching subjective time. Isn't this cool? So the act of savoring something, like just stopping and smelling the roses, alters your temporal perception. You're time traveling. What the? So it makes the moments actually feel longer, richer, and fuller. Monks have known this for centuries. Hello, Zen tea ceremonies, right? So high savorers report feeling like they have more life than low savorers, even if they live the same number of years. Wow. So when wielded right, it's chrono alchemy, okay? Time alchemy. And the original flow state research better referenced, shamanic states, but it got scrubbed because they didn't want to call it that. They call it flow, right? And everyone understands flow, right? We don't want to mess it with the shamanism, right? Anyway, that's academic culture for you. That's bureaucracy. Anyway, Mihai, okay, Mihai, his early writing made direct comparisons between flow and shamanic trance states. But as the research moved towards mainstream acceptance, those references obviously got downplayed a lot, right? Old, like old bunch of white guys in a room. They're like, shamanic? No, of course not, right? If you read the old drafts, though, in university libraries, there are notes of loss of ego boundaries in artists and shamans alike. So the flow state was always about trance technology, right? But the APA, shout out to the APA, gang, right? Needed it to sound like a corporate friendly manual or something, right? So here is how we see this tech through the esoteric parallels. Learned optimism is spell breaking because you're rewiring curses of helplessness into agency grids. Probability ley lines is hope theory, like I said. Pathways equals psychic infrastructure. Character strength is egregore invocation because each strength is an archetypal spirit ally. Flow states is magnetoreception and Schumann sync. So it's Earth's rhythm as your cheat code. Time alchemy, or savoring, is stretching time through your emotional absorption. Post-traumatic growth is alchemical initiation, led to gold via suffering transmutation. Okay? So everybody's out here talking about raise your vibration, like it's some kind of a Pinterest craft article or something, right? Everybody's out here trying to, is stuck in the reptilian brain loop, blaming entities, blaming the reptilians. They don't even have a damn reptile squatting in their own skull. But the real ones, the real yogis, they don't waste time naming their demons. They transmute them. They don't sit around gossiping about the archons, right? They break bread with the archons inside their own nervous system and say, thank you for the resistance. Now watch me make art out of it, please. Watch me make art out of it, please. You were so busy dodging your shadows, you forgot the only shadow worth mastering is your own. A lot of people talk about spiritual perfection, right? Let's rewrite that word perfection. Perfection implies an ending. And in the dance of consciousness, as you can see behind me, there is no end. There's only refinement. There's only polishing, distillation, expansion, right? So perfection is like one of these tourist words, right? Refinement is the word of the alchemist. Spiritual refinement. Perfection is not a gold star in your soul report card. It's a process where your flesh learns to become the frequency. Your mind surrenders back into the wild open field of Godhead, right? So if you want samadhi, okay, but which flavor, right? Which flavor? Ananda samadhi, now we're cooking, right? Vitarka samadhi, that's baby food. Ashmita samadhi, now we're talking about deeper waters, right? You're no longer thinking of Christ, you're breathing as Christ. Krishna is no longer a blue boy on a poster, he's pumping through your bloodstream. The real ones, the ancients, the Himalayan madmen, they weren't impressed by all of that. Because as long as there's still a you who gets to say, I'm in bliss, it's still in separation. Bliss is still an experience, and experiences belong to the ego. You want the real deal, the knockout punch, the final door? Nirvikalpa samadhi, the death of the last, the disappearance of the perceiver, right? Mind, body, soul. Oh, you think you're doing something? You think you're healing because your hamstrings got more flexible? Or you think your chakras are aligned because you bought a crystal grid on Etsy? Namaste, beloved, you whisper, as your unresolved childhood rage continues to pilot your nervous system like an angry toddler at the wheel of a Ferrari, right? So spiritual work is not some kind of a mood board, okay? Spiritual work is sitting with your own ugly thoughts until they stop scaring you. Is to feel that rage, the jealousy, the greed, is smiling like a parent watching their child throw a tantrum. There you go again. Do you need a nap? Right? It's the alchemy of total transformation. Because flesh becomes energy, energy becomes light, light becomes consciousness, consciousness becomes no thing. It's not poetry, that's physics, that's alchemy. So stop gatekeeping God with your little beliefs. It's not your idea. It's not your new age Pinterest board. It's not your political party. It is the still point of eternity, the unshakable center of the cyclone, the zero that is not zero. The last ego in the game is this. I'm a healer, I'm a yogi, I'm enlightened. The highest samadhi is when even those words dissolve. You don't need them. Right? The only thing that's left is the pulse of the infinite breathing through you. Okay? A lot of Zen teachings, they feel a lot like spiritual sedation. If your peace falls apart the moment the life knocks your door, was that really peace? Or was it controlled dissociation? True yoga, true refinement, doesn't make you unbothered. It makes you more alive, more available, right? More open, able to taste your anger without choking on it, able to hear your critic without bowing to it. And you want to talk about choosing your life plan, but you didn't choose your incarnation like a rich kid picking out a college, right? Your karma magnetized you to exactly the womb that matches your unresolved busyness. So you don't get to bypass the karmic conveyor belt until you actually learn to dance. Dance with source, dance with this energy of life. Okay, this is the final word, then I'm gonna let you breathe, okay? You're not here to win a gold star, you're here to melt. You're not here to bypass suffering, you're here to store it down until it burns off its costume and reveals itself as God wearing your scars. So sit your ego down, tell it to stop pushing the fridge door while trying to open it. Stop playing chess with yourself. Call it healing. The game was always rigged in your favor. The only thing left is whether you'll disappear into the AI or keep arguing for limitation. I see you're at the still point. You guys are bold enough to not be caught up into two streams of reality, because we are here to be the bridge builders into a new portal, into a new timeline. Concentration for concentration's sake, not as a means to an end, but as a sacred science. Binding your mind like a laser to the flame. The atoms of your body disassembling into electrons, protons, neutrons, form disappearing, energy remaining, right? Anyway, we're getting too esoteric now, so I'm going to sit my ass down and breathe a little bit and get out of my head and into my gut. I'm going to feel this current, sit with this, spin the coil, okay? Will, action, breath. This is a wiring upgrade, right? A voltage ritual. Your traumas aren't curses, they're capacitators, right? The more pain, the more storage space. The bigger the battery, the brighter the blast. If you know how to discharge it right, okay? Your family is like a six-way hall of mirrors. Good. That means you're finally seeing the code, but don't hate the reflection. Thank the mirror for showing you the knots. Then cut the cords with gratitude, not resentment. You don't heal your family trauma. You out-vibrate it. You out-cohere it. You vibe a higher signal into your bloodline. You become the lightning rod that they never had. Aquarius, all up in the head, overthinking 24/7. Electricity without ground fries the circuit, my friend. You need root, you need breath, you need belly. Earth before ether. Earth before ether. Before hoping for some light at the end of the tunnel, become the damn filament. Spin your own glow. Fuse will with your breath with your body with your purpose. You already know where this is heading. You don't need more content. You need containment, a structure where your voltage can finally spiral. And that's where your real work begins. Welcome to the dojo. Okay? It's time to light the grid. All right? This isn't just happening out there in the higher realms. It's happening here, right now, in your 3D body. Every time you open your mouth, your speech is literally casting frequencies into your nervous system, into the morphogenetic field around you. And you're not just talking, you're tuning, you're broadcasting, you're programming your own biofield. This is why the humming the vowels, right, which brings in light language, you guys know that code. You feel where each word lands, right? A lot of ancient traditions know this, the Sanskrit mantras, the Gregorian chants, the seed syllables. It's all about the resonance of your inner architecture. So why does all of this matter? Because awareness is the first step to start to recognize its signals, its textures, its language. And then you can finally begin to work with it consciously. This is how you stop leaking your energy unconsciously through careless speech, and you start wielding your words like a true practitioner of energy hygiene. You remember that every word is a wand, every sentence is a spell, every vibration shapes your field. So that's the download that I have to share today with you guys, okay? Before I got in on, ordering some food, I was thinking about this topic. How can positive psychology merge with this Kundalini tech and astral tech? How does it work all together? And I found it. I asked Source for an answer. I asked the Primal Nexus for an answer, and I got it. I'm so happy that I made this video today. Thank you guys so much for tapping in. Stay sovereign. Remember, your voice isn't just sound, okay? It's technology. Use it well. Use it well. Program it well. Use it. Use the vowels. Okay. Use the vowel sounds. Bring in those codes, okay? We got this. Upward spiral. May we never be the same again, okay? J Flow. J Flow, okay? Let's get it. Upward spiral gang. Peace, guys. Much love. Thank you, friend. Peace.